Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. How companies, how businesses, how small businesses have been affected by COVID-19, how they've adapted, what some of the trends are, whether trends have changed is something that has been of a lot of interest to me and probably a lot of you. And so I want to introduce you to two fascinating young ladies tonight that have got an interesting business, and they've been impacted dramatically by COVID-19 because they've been closed for a long time. And so we want to hear how they've survived. First of all, we've got Michele Bonnick. She is the owner, head stylist of the Amani Hair Studio in Toronto. It's a non-essential business, supposedly during the pandemic. At least that's what the government said, though, you know, some of us were growing our hair so long that we really came to the conclusion that it was very essential, let me tell you. And I want to know why she has had this strategy in the past of traveling down to the United States to broaden her repertoire of hair weaving, human hair extensions, braids, relaxers, liquid keratin treatments, etc. We're going to find out how that was impacted and what happened with her business. In addition, we have got Solange Ashoori. Is that correct, Ashoori?
Yes, that's right.
Who's the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar Inc. in Toronto. And the stylist's business, I think, I've been told, sets a new standard for what beauty care is in Toronto, one of the most culturally diverse cities. And I want to talk to her about what happened to her business, but also why trade schools and community colleges, she thinks, must step up. Ladies, welcome to my show. How are you?
Hi.
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Excellent. So Solange, maybe I can start with you. Tell me a little bit more about your business. What is it?
It's a hair salon, and we also offer other beauty services like eyelash extensions and eyebrows. We opened in June of 2019, and I've personally been in the industry for about 15 years now. And we opened in June of 2019, and about 8 months after we opened, lockdowns took over. So we're still a baby business.
And whereabouts are you located?
We're located downtown in the Trinity Bellwoods area on Dundas West.
Excellent. And Michele, tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, I've been around Amani Hair Studio has been around since 2000. We're located at Yonge and Eglinton. We specialize in healthy hair care. I would say 60% of our business is, ethnic hair care. The things that is most important for us is healthy hair care. That is the foundation of our business.
What is the difference between healthy hair care and unhealthy hair care?
Well, you can go, we're talking about treatments, we're talking about internal care, vitamins, because a lot of women think that, they can eat unhealthy and have fantastic hair, and it doesn't work. You have to take care of inside first.
Really? What you eat impacts your hair?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that happen, Solange?
Well, even things like more like for us, we specialize a lot in textured hair. We do hair for everyone, but most of our clientele is textured. So curly hair and curls really thrive with moisture. So even just not getting enough water will turn your hair dry and you will lose your curl. And even with people with straight hair, like you'll notice your hair is a little drier and doesn't do what it needs to do because you're not getting enough water. Just something as simple as water will help you a lot. But yeah, I'm totally on board with Michele and her healthy hair movement. We definitely strive to bring people back naturally too, and like in a healthy way to not compromise the integrity of their hair at all.
Absolutely.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because one of the major issues that I have with girls taking their hair, the women taking their hair to another level, is a lack of iron. It's a huge lack of iron.
Right.
And yeah, so
It's true.
so they're like, oh, I want this beautiful, long, thick hair. And I'm just like, you have to eat right.
Yeah, it's true.
So more steak.
Yes.
More water and more steak. We're chatting
Yes.
tonight with Michele Bonnick. She is the owner, head stylist of Amani Hair Studio in Toronto, Yonge and Eglinton area. And with Solange Ashoori, who is the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar Inc. in the Trinity Bellwoods area.
That's right. Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more and understand, how COVID-19 impacted their business. And then we'll come back and talk about maybe some trends and more about healthy hair. Stay with us, everybody.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're talking about small businesses being impacted by COVID-19, and the two young ladies that I've got joining me today are both in the hairstyling business. Michele Bonnick is the owner, head stylist of Amani Hair Studio in Toronto in the Eglinton area. She specializes in what she calls healthy hair, and I think you said ethnic hair. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're going to come back and ask you what ethnic hair is. And Solange Ashoori, who is the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar Inc. It is in the Trinity Bellwoods area. And you said you specialize in not curly hair. What'd you call it? You called it
Textured hair.
Textured. I was going to say challenging.
Which is
hair.
Curly hair. It is curly hair too. Yeah.
I was going to think it's the hair that guys have difficulty running their fingers through, right? That's the definition.
Well, yeah, I mean, your fingers would get caught in curly hair for sure. Yeah.
It was an attempt at a joke. So, Michele, what is ethnic hair?
Ethnic hair is, it's beautiful, it's bouncy, it has personality, it has vibrance, it's exciting. Ethnic hair is, smooth, it could be kinky, it could be, it's just beautiful to me. That's what ethnic hair is to me. Yeah.
So, Michele, tell me, how was your business impacted by COVID-19? You were declared a non-essential business and you had to close down. What'd you do?
So I had to pivot quickly. And so I have clients that have alopecia. And so what would happen was they would drop off their wigs and put it in our mailbox. And then I would wash the wigs and then put it back into the mailbox. So, and then we had a website that we expanded on, selling more products. A lot of the products that I have in the salon, it's not accessible, not really accessible. So I was able to put them online.
Do a lot of people have wigs?
I think this COVID pulled out a lot of wigs.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well,
I never knew that.
These women have alopecia, which is like thinning and balding.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, but people have wigs for different reasons, just for fashion or just for security reasons, for self-esteem.
Now, you were closed for most of the last year. Is that not correct?
Yes.
How'd that impact your business? Did you still pay rent? Were you paying salary?
Yes,
Did you have to lay everyone off?
Still had to pay rent. I mean, I have independent contractors, so everybody was able to get some kind of funding. I mean, I really miss my clients. I'm such a social person, and it was really difficult because I'm so used to being around people. So the social aspect was hard for my clients and for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just had to scale back, hard.
Now, the Canadian government made available monies that would supplement your rent. If the landlord reduced the rent by 25%, you paid 25% of the rent, they would give 50% of the rent. Did you avail yourself of that opportunity? And was the landlord willing to play ball?
Yes. I'm so fortunate. I have wonderful landlords, and they really worked with me. And I've been with them for a really long time. So it wasn't a problem at all. I had no issues.
Now, I heard from a couple of hair salons that when they reopened a month ago, they had problems getting staff back. How did you staff up again?
Yeah, it was a problem. It was a problem because people pivot. People want to do different things. They have enough time to spend, researching and taking courses and figuring out what they want to do. Right. So,
Solange, what about you? How did you deal with the pandemic?
Well, like I said, we were only 8 months into the business when the first lockdown happened, and then we worked for 4 months, and the second lockdown was 8 months long. So basically, we didn't even have like a client base to kind of rely on to survive with gift cards and things like that. We really had to take everything to social media and create a culture on our social media platform to keep us alive and have people engaged. So it was really our culture that kind of drove people to want to come and see us. Also, our advocacy for curly hair education to be mandated was really what got us a lot of press, and people got to see that and feel comfortable coming in. Having curly hair, I'm sure most women or people with textured hair have struggled with finding places to go that can care for their hair. So that is really what drove people to our doors. And, I'm grateful. It wasn't something I was expecting to happen, but it really ended up working out for us. And then we just put some of our products online so people had the opportunity to purchase them. It wasn't enough to get us by, but it was something to keep people engaged.
Yeah. And consultations was a big thing too. Like for some reason, I was doing a ton of Zoom consultations, with women all over the world and groups of women. So it was really cool.
Really? Yeah. Consultations about what?
About just how to deal with their hair, what to do with their hair. A lot of women don't know how to do their own hair. So there was consultations on how to braid. How can I braid my hair? Because, some of them just don't know how to braid their hair, or, how can I wear this wig, or how can I blow dry my hair? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this lockdown really solidified how essential we actually are. Mm-hmm. And, even though we were deemed non-essential, it's really, when you think about it and how much of our whole structure is based on what we look like, especially when it comes to women, it's almost crazy to think that it would be deemed non-essential, because so much of what our value is based on what we look like and how we present ourselves. So.
Yeah, and if you look better, you feel better.
Absolutely, that part too, and it's all of that. And you could see it in clients now when they walk in and they haven't had their hair touched in a year, and just the treatment and the feeling of being in a salon really just brings and boosts your confidence back up. And it's great for us too, because we missed all our clients and we missed, just working.
So it's interesting what you said, Solange, about how you look impacting you. I interviewed a sociologist, a professor at the London School of Economics last week, who wrote a book called Erotic Capital. And what her argument was that attractiveness and beauty and fashion and the way you look ends up being a social currency that allows you to be more successful in life. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
It's I mean, for lack of better terms, it's pretty privilege, and outside of that, even like pretty people, I think it's irrefutable that they would have more privileges in society, for sure, because we are vain as a society. But even outside of that, when we feel good about ourselves, no matter what other people see us as, when we feel good about ourselves, I personally do better. I'm more productive. I feel better. I want to go places and do things. So, and I think hair and, just little ritualistic beauty things that we do for ourselves make us feel that way.
Pretty privilege. Is that your term, or is that a term that is common? Other people use it. I've never heard pretty privilege before.
I mean, I would say it's like an Urban Dictionary term, like it's pretty privilege, and it's just to kind of simplify the fact that people that are considered conventionally beautiful get more privileges in society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really? Because this book, Erotic Capital, got a lot of opposition from feminists that were arguing that this was a negative and that you shouldn't have privileges just because of your prettiness or your attractiveness.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think you should have privileges because of your attractiveness, but what is right versus what is real are two different things, right? Yeah. So what it should be versus what it actually is different. So I do agree. I don't think we should be getting special privileges for being pretty, but that's not the reality of the world,
It's a part of your self-esteem too, right?
100%. Yeah.
Feeling and looking better.
Yeah.
And it impacts your confidence. No, there's no question.
Absolutely.
So in something like 90% of elections, and this doesn't hold true when it's males and females involved, but in elections of males, in 90% of elections, the taller man wins. So for some reason, tallness is sort of like your pretty privilege, that people respect the tall, dark, handsome man more than the short, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. And it's if you think about it in context, it's so senseless and silly. But again, we've been programmed to see certain things and attach them to other things. It's like when we talk about doctors, we automatically assume that they're all angels, you know, and it's like, just because you have an education doesn't mean you're a great person. So there's things that we attach. Why are you laughing?
So back to this is really an interesting topic, and we may come back to this again. But Solange, you've only been in business a short while. What Michele had said is the landlord that she had been there for more than a decade was very responsive and helpful. What about your landlord?
I mean, he did what he had to do in order to maintain his space as well. I hadn't had that big of a rapport with him yet because we're a new business, but he did eventually help us by applying for the program to keep us there. So it did work out in the end, but it wasn't as easy as Michele.
One of the criticisms that places that have had sort of independent contractors like restaurants and studios, hair studios and things like that have had is that the program for payroll doesn't apply to independent contractors. They had to go out and get SARS or whatever it was. And the 75% wage subsidy only applied for companies. And people were worried that would mean that you wouldn't be able to hold on to your staff as well. What happened? It sounded, Michele, like you had to staff up again, that people left and found, and as you said, pivoted and found other jobs. Is that correct?
Yes. And, it's okay. Like I'm not working with a big, like a lot of staff, and which is perfectly fine.
Solange, what happened with you and your staff? Were you able to keep them?
Honestly, I know that happened to a lot of salons because of what I heard in the industry. For us, it was a little different. We actually grew substantially during the lockdown. So I had to hire people. So we actually grew in staff.
How did you grow? How did you grow when you were closed down?
Well, it's just like I said, because of the culture we created on social media, I just started getting resumes. And then when I started putting up that we're looking for new people, it was because we were trying to, our wait list was so long that we wanted to be able to accommodate everyone. So I had to hire.
So that's interesting. How did you create this culture in social media?
Well, because we're really inclusive and we push that narrative big time. Like like I said, we started a petition to mandate curly hair education with the Ontario Ministry of Universities and Colleges.
Mandate what? Mandate
curly hair education. So when you go to
universities for people taking
hair beauty school.
So I don't have to take it when I'm taking.
No. But if you want to go to hair school, right now it's not mandated where curly hair texture is incorporated in that. So it's very Eurocentric and it's rooted in Eurocentric beauty standards, which goes back to the trauma of curly haired people and textured hair people going to salons and not being able to get serviced.
Hold it. What are Eurocentric beauty standards?
Eurocentric beauty standards are rooted in European beauty standards, which is your typical straight hair. So people in Europe don't have curly hair? Well, they do, but it's not promoted. So this Eurocentric standard is not promoting curly hair. So I'm sure there's plenty of people in Europe with curly hair, but that's not the ideal. And that's not what they teach us in school. So in school, when it comes to curls, they're basically showing you how to tame them, how to straighten them, how to relax curls, not to enhance or cut them in a way or style them in a way. So you don't learn any of that, which causes a huge issue, and it's a disservice to stylists because they won't be able to perform services on certain clients. And it causes issues for the clientele as well, because nobody wants to feel like that. Nobody wants to feel like an other when they walk into a salon. I felt like that my whole life walking into salons. And I'm sure, Michele, you know this, you have the same experience too. So it's really.
No, I didn't have the same experience.
Okay.
I just.
You just learned and did it yourself.
I learned really early how to do my own hair. That's why.
That's
right. So I embraced my hair at a really early age. I loved my hair. So I didn't really have that issue, but I do have friends that have that issue. Right. When they go to certain salons, they're like waving them away. No,
yeah. Like
your hair, and the fact that, to go to school and you spend all this money, and then you're so limited, it feels really inadequate. As a Black woman, I should be able to go into a school, learn about curly hair, textured hair, and be able to go out in the workforce and apply what I've learned. And
Right.
so that's not the case. So
No.
even as a Black woman coming out of school, you're only doing, Eurocentric hair. That's
Yeah.
it.
And like so many Black stylists are self-taught when it comes to wash and goes, silk
Yes.
presses, doing braids. And these are very intricate services, right? Like they take time and they take skill. So the
Yeah.
fact that they had to teach themselves is, takes time away from them where they already spent like $20,000 to go to hair school and
Yeah.
then have to teach yourself something else, or have to pay money to learn niche courses, which it's a pet peeve
Yes.
to me that textured hair is a niche. I don't even understand how that makes any sense.
Because in every culture, there's curly hair.
Exactly.
In
And there's
Irish
more-
culture, Portuguese,
Every culture, yeah.
every culture, even Asian culture, there's curly hair.
Well, their hair is textured. Just because it's
Yes.
straight doesn't mean that it's not textured, right? And even people with Asian hair have issues going to salons that don't know how to work with texture. So
Yeah.
it's a really deep rooted issue. And salons like Michelle's and myself, like we're trying to break that beauty standard up and just be more
Yes.
embracing of everyone's hair type. And I
Yeah.
think also highlighting that Black stylists need to get paid the same as other stylists because their services take time and skill.
Yes.
And because we don't recognize these services, it's almost like they get undervalued and underpaid for doing such skilled work.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Toronto is such a diverse community.
Right.
Surprised that you're reacting the way and saying what you're saying.
Toronto is diverse as a community, as a people. In business, it's not very diverse.
I agree.
We love to parade around our diversity, almost like a badge of honor. But like when it comes to business, there is no diversity. And it's also incredibly difficult for women of color like myself and Michelle to break a lot of those boundaries. So there's boundaries and red tape there for us a lot more because of lack of diversity in business. So when you look at Toronto, it's great. But when you walk into a salon in Toronto, nine out of 10 salons are not cultured at all.
No.
9 out of 10 salons aren't cultured.
No, they're not.
No.
Like if you look at Michelle, I don't know what your staff looks like, but if you look at our staff, it's very reflective of Toronto as a city. So we have all ethnicities and backgrounds, and they're all versed on all hair textures. There's no one that can walk into our salon and be refused.
Yeah.
Not
100%. 100%. At any given day, walking into the salon, you've got every nationality.
Yeah, exactly. And I can say for sure, and I'm sure Michelle can say that we are amongst a very small group of people that are doing this, which is.
And so when you went to the provincial government, to the Ministry of Colleges and Universities and tried to get this mandate that people that were going to school for hair had to learn about textured hair, what was their response?
They never responded. They still haven't responded to us yet. From what I know, they did try to implement something, and then it got something where they were mandating curly hair education, and then it got thrown out. So they apparently tried and then stopped. So I'm not really sure what the issue is, but they have been ignoring us. And even with over 11,000 signatures now, they're still not responding.
Yeah. I mean, and the unfortunate thing is that, these women are going to school and paying, between $15,000 to $20,000. And it's the Black women that are teaching, the classrooms how to braid hair, which is so disturbing, so incredibly disturbing. I mean, they have access to, and it's just going on social media, access to so many people that know how to do braiding properly. Yeah. But they'll drag one of the girls in, and it's uncomfortable because I've had co-op students, be really upset about this. Like, why am I teaching the class? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is incredibly ridiculous. And that's another thing that we developed too, was a roster of Black stylists that are very well versed in braiding. And when I say, I don't mean just the technique of braiding, but also like the scalp and how to care for the scalp and how to braid properly. Like these are all the things you learn in school, but they don't teach you how to braid in school. They don't teach you how to do a wash and go. They don't teach you how to trade. You know, when you're treating someone with curly hair in the wash station, it's different than how you would wash someone with straight hair. So there's a lot of things that are just passed over, and it's a disservice, like I said, to the stylist, and it's a disservice to the community.
Yeah, and then you're limited. You're limited on how much money you can make.
Right, and that's my thing.
Everybody is limited.
They're so limited, and that's my thing with the niche salons. Like I have stylists who know how to work with all hair textures, right?
Yeah.
But they love working with curly hair. But that doesn't mean that they don't love working with straight hair either.
Too, exactly.
So if they go to a curly hair salon, then they're just limited to doing one thing, you know? And if they go to a conventional salon, then they're never going to do curly hair. So it's just, that's the thing. And it's like, why do people need to be in a niche? They don't need to be in a niche. And I think salons like yourselves and myself are integral to changing the entire standard of beauty in our city.
I never realized there was such an issue about curly hair education.
There shouldn't be an issue just because in the States, they teach, you go to any given hair school and you're taught the
everything.
Whole spectrum. Everybody learns.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So even though we pride ourselves on our diversity, you're saying we're less understanding of diversity when it comes to hair and beauty.
Less understanding, I think maybe lazy.
Lazy, absolutely. And also look at the fact that the ministry is not even listening to us.
Yeah.
Like that's the red tape I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like why would
tonight with Michele Bonnick. She is the owner, head stylist of Amani Hair Salon. And also speaking with Solange Ashoori. She's the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar. We're talking about curly hair and how there needs to be a mandate for hair education in schools that mandates curly hair knowledge. Stay with us. Fascinating. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm having a heck of a fun time chatting with Solange Ashoori. She is the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar, and Michele Bonnick, who is the owner head stylist of Amani Hair Studio in Yonge and Eglinton area. Solange is in the Trinity Bellwoods area, and they both specialize, it will appear, in curly hair and as Michele called it, ethnic hair. And it's fascinating because they're arguing that there's this Eurocentric definition of beauty, which I guess is straight hair, and that too many stylists and too many studios specialize in only that and don't understand and accept and treat correctly people that have got different hair, and that we need more diversity and more acceptance of diversity. And that's fascinating. Michele, you were saying that you travel to the United States a lot to understand trends in hair. Why did you have to do that?
Well, I couldn't find any classes here, right? And I just felt like I was just like hit a glass ceiling. I was like, that was it. You know, I was just very limited. I wanted more. I wanted to take it to another level. And so, you know, twice a year, I would go back and forth to Atlanta, New York, or Miami, you know, just to do different classes, just to update myself, just to stay ahead. You know,
is this something that most stylists do on a fairly regular basis?
Most stylists do, because it's like, you can't find it here. Now I've started, you know, a braiding 101, weaving hair extensions 101 and advanced. And there are more people that are doing classes. So so you're getting more people. And then I think because of the pandemic too, people are not traveling. So you want something more local. But honestly, we have to travel. It was a trend. It's the trend. Oh, are you going to Atlanta in August? Oh, are you going to Atlanta in, you know, in March? You know, or are you going to go to New York?
And are these conferences you're going to, or just
huge? You know, hundreds and thousands of people coming all over the world.
Oh, really? And what are the conferences called?
No, it's not a conference. It's just a big hair show.
What's the hair show called?
Barner Brothers. Um, yeah, that's
there's like
the most popular one.
Yeah. A lot of the hair brands have like huge symposiums every year. Like COVID stopped a lot of it, but they have these huge things every year where people can go and take various classes and learn different things. But in Canada, it's very limited. And depending on the brand, it's also limited to textured. It's not, we don't get any textured hair education.
And
So you
Solange,
have to.
where did you go to get educated in textured hair?
Well, so for me, when I was 17, I found a hairstylist that had my hair type. And I got lucky and I started going to her, and I then ended up working in her salon, and in many ways she became my mentor. So she was also very much into working with different textures and very much into trending and different things that were happening with different hair types. And so I learned from there, but my experiences before that were like, I've even been told to straighten my hair to come to work. So it was an issue for me before that. And
do you straighten your hair?
no, I mean, I do it now once in a while, just if I feel like it. But from the time that I was told,
I know nothing about what you're talking about, but I got to say, based on my sample of people I know, a lot of people with curly hair straighten it on a reasonably regular basis, and a lot of people with straight hair curl it.
Yeah, it's just a little bit back and forth.
Yeah, it's always like that.
Yeah. I mean, how I started out in the business was learning from Mr. Azan. And he started one of the first salons in Toronto. And so I was really fortunate, and he's my uncle. So I was very, very fortunate to have him as a mentor. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
And I'm so fortunate. So fortunate.
So let's change topic a little bit. We've talked about sort of the mandate for curly hair education. We've talked about going to the United States to understand what's going on. What are some of the other trends? Curly hair or straight hair or whatever hair? What are some of the trends that are happening in hair? Are people going longer, shorter? Like what
braiding is crazy. Braiding is just they're taking braiding to another level, absolute another level. I've never seen so much creativity with braiding. So, I remember watching a show, it was a Canadian show, it was a hair show. And they were battling the best hairstylists. And this was I think it was 2015. And he said, what do you think the biggest trend is? And he said braiding. And braiding has evolved. It hasn't stopped.
No, it hasn't. Braiding is a huge trend for sure. I also think curly hair is in now. So a lot of people I'm noticing, a lot of people, going back to what you were saying about people straightening their hair, a lot of people with curly hair straighten their hair, not because they don't like their curls, but because they have no way of managing their curls. And that's due to lack of like proper haircuts and products. So I've noticed that because curly hair is trending now, we're embracing this natural hair movement. People want to embrace their curls. And we have a lot of clients who come in to get the proper treatment and cut for that. And I think just the whole 70s hair, like lots of layers and big blowouts are huge right now, and natural texture is in. So a lot of people are wearing, they're wearing
back to like the 70s perm.
Yeah, pretty much. And not even that, but
afro
braids, froze, and curly hair and bangs and like the shag cuts. Those are all in.
Farrah Fawcett with like the big hair that's coming back.
That's big right now. Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
So I used to work in the cosmetic business. I know you'll be surprised at that. And the owner of the company that I was doing some work with said that, and it wasn't a Eurocentric, maybe it was, I don't know, but she said that we're worldwide, we're almost amalgamating into one race. And everyone wants to have blonde hair, but they're going to be tanned and they're going to have this sort of Mediterranean skin tone, and they're going in for artificial for medical enhancements of parts of their body, etc. And it was almost as if there's a one definition of beauty. Do you agree with that?
No,
I don't think there. I don't agree that there's one definition of beauty. Whether that's what's pushed on us, is a different thing. I think what showcases as the definition of beauty is very Kardashian-ish, and Yeah, if that's what we're talking about, then absolutely.
Tell
That's
me what is Kardashian-ish.
well, just that like whole,
Dark skin, you know, the big eyes,
big
the
eyes, big
butt,
lips,
the
big
small
boobs.
waist.
Yeah. Things that don't really often happen naturally. So you need to
Yes.
almost like get medical enhancements to make those things look, make yourself look that way.
Yeah.
And it's sad because some people naturally look that way and that's wonderful. And then there's people that don't. But for my personal like things that I find beautiful are like the quirky qualities, like maybe a gap in your tooth or freckles, like things like a crooked lip, like things like that have always made beauty unique and nice to me. And those are the qualities I look for or what I consider beautiful. So no, I don't have.
And then
Crawford, who they
internally
said,
too.
wouldn't have been really successful if she hadn't had the mole on her cheek.
Right, exactly.
Right, there you go.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And look, Madonna, I don't know if Madonna, that was actually her real mole, or should she just, like dab it on?
I don't know either, but she put the mole on. That was the thing. Yeah. And there's a lot. And I think for hair too, like now when we're going back into the beauty industry, like it's not just hair, right? It's makeup too. It's everything. And if you talk to fashion models, especially ones, Black fashion models or ones with textured hair, they'll tell you that they forever have issues, or a lot of times they get told to do their own hair before they show up on set.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at this point right now, we should, I had a client that was getting her hair done for a wedding in Niagara Falls. And so she had to come to me first to get her hair, straightened so that the hairstylist would be able to manage it. She had to bring her own makeup just to ensure that, she was going to get the right, tone for her skin.
right.
I mean, it still happens to this day.
It does.
I mean, and this is the thing. Why would you limit yourself? I don't understand why the limitation, on just going out and getting different palettes of, color to suit your clients. I don't get it.
Yeah. And I think it's because, like, going to what you're saying, Michelle, like the more people of color that are at the forefront of business, then that will change, because it's not the people that are in business now or controlling these things do not have that lived experience. So, they don't understand what that looks like.
So are these people in hair salons, or are these people in fashion, or are these people in designers, or the people that the agents that hire the models? Who are these?
Well, I mean, if you look at big business and the demographic of people that are in control there, it's very limited. Like there's not a lot of people of color up there. So it's, again, not their lived experience. I had someone question why I was doing this petition and why I'm advocating so much for everyone to have equal education, because it's okay to have a niche, and she couldn't understand why it's rooted in systemic racism. Like, so, and she couldn't understand that. And for me, I was like, well, it's not your lived experience. So when you can walk into any salon, whether it's a Black salon or a white salon, and get your hair done, it's not a lived experience for you. You don't feel what that feels like. Whereas for me or Michelle, if you didn't teach yourself, as a lot of your clients, they don't have that experience. So when you're young and naive, you think any hairstylist can do your hair, and then you walk in the salon and you get rejected.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
total disaster. I mean, I have friends that I go to that have a salon. I mean, we're super like swamped one day. Nobody could color my hair. Just like decided just to go to, just like, like a place down the street. And I was just like, hey guys, we're really friendly and stuff, so I said, hey guys, I just need a quick color, and, they just didn't know what to do with my hair after. I was just like, leave it alone. I'm just gonna leave with a curly. They're like, I love your curls. I'm just like, yeah, just leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Right.
No, I don't think the salons are being prejudiced, Brian, to answer your question, but the root of everything that is prejudice most of the time is in education. So the fact that we're not teaching anything outside of one certain hair type is prejudice. Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not even a big deal. Like, it's just like, for example, doing a roller set, you need more tension when it comes to curly hair, and more smoothing. That is it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
It's
You
really
know,
not
if
a big
you're
deal.
teaching, you know, you can knock it out, kill two birds with one stone by simply saying, okay, the textured hair women, okay, just put a little bit more tension within the hair.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
That's it.
Well, I'm having a real education tonight on curly hair, but also learning about lived experience and how lived experience can be so different. And the idea that Solange talks about her not feeling welcomed into some of the more Eurocentric salons in the city. And so it's fascinating. We're chatting with Michele Bonnick. She's the owner, head stylist of Amani Hair Studio, Yonge and Eglinton, and also with Solange Ashoori, who is the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar in the Trinity Bellwoods area. We're going to take a break for some final messages and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Stay with us. Courage to people that have got curly hair.
Really like that book, eh?
We're having a fun night tonight on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm chatting with Solange Ashoori. She is the founder and owner of Ziba Style Bar Inc. at Trinity Bellwoods area, and also with Michele Bonnick. She's the owner and head stylist of Amani Hair Studio. Michele, if people want to check out your studio, do you have a website?
Yes, it's amanihairstudio.com. And yeah, they could just go to the website. You know, we're on Instagram at same thing, Amani Hair Studio.
And you're Yonge and Eglinton
Facebook
area.
the same as well.
Yonge and Eglinton area, right on Yonge or right on Eglinton?
Right on Yonge Street.
North of Eglinton?
North of Eglinton.
Awesome. And Solange, do you have a website they can go to?
Yeah, it's zibastylebar.com. And also our Instagram is the same. And you can find it on our website as well.
And whereabouts are you located?
We're at on Dundas West, in between Bathurst and Ossington.
And I've got really fine straight hair. If I walked into either of your studios, would I feel welcomed?
Absolutely. Yes.
Put me in curls?
No, we can keep your hair as it is and just touch it up and fix you up.
How do we add to perfection?
Yes.
Michele, what do you want to tell people? You've had an opportunity tonight to talk about some of your issues. What do you want to tell people?
I mean, I really just wish that the hair schools would be more inclusive, that they would broaden their horizons and just be more inclusive. I mean, they're losing so much, you know, their students aren't getting the full education. And you know what? You could be making so much more money, you know, being inclusive. Why would you limit yourself? And nobody wants to feel inadequate, right?
Well,
so
Solange, what about you?
I would say even I agree with Michele about the education, and also I would encourage hair salons to start including services and hiring people and making space for these stylists to be able to offer these services. You know, bring on someone that can do curly hair, bring on someone that can do braids. They're out there, and pay them and create a space for them to be able to, and it also increases your business as well.
So I appreciate what both of you had to say. Let's come back to your comment about pretty privilege, or my academic term of erotic capital. It's been proven that if two people are applying for a job and one is considered more attractive than the other, the attractive one will get the job, even if beauty has got nothing to do with the job. That for some reason, attractive people are deemed more trustworthy. If you knew that, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, go ahead, Michele.
I mean, I don't see the world that way, right? I don't see the world that way. I think that it's all about the qualifications that you have, personality, openness, willingness to learn, those things, you know, that's what I'm attracted to. That's what I like. So if I'm hiring somebody, I couldn't care if she was a bombshell. I couldn't care less. Yeah. You know, right? Like my sister says, you know, pretty girls give trouble. So
pretty girls give trouble.
That's what she tells her. That's what she tells her boyfriend all the time, right?
But isn't that the business that the two of you were in? Making people look the best they can be. You know, the old line about it was the suit makes the man.
Well, I mean, that's different. Making people feel the best they can feel is different than trying to put people in a box of what a beautiful standard is.
Exactly.
So, it's enhancing what you already have versus trying to make yourself look like a Kardashian.
Yes.
So maybe it's confidence that's more important than just attractiveness, that you got to feel good about yourself, and that confidence ends up being the secret.
Bingo. That's absolutely it. It's all internal.
One of my favorite songs of all time was Maria in The Sound of Music. You probably have never watched the show, but she, on the way to the new job, sings, "I have confidence in me."
Yeah.
Really enjoyed chatting with the two of you. And bottom line, I think what you're talking about is accept diversity, be inclusive.
Yes.
That we've got to not just talk diversity, but we've got to live diversity, and then we've got to understand some of our diverse communities' lived experiences, and that they could be very different than ours, and that one definition, whether it's Eurocentric or made up by the cosmetics business or whatever it is, one definition of beauty is not what we want. What we want is a rainbow.
Beautiful.
Lots of different people.
Yes, you were listening, Brian.
Yes.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We're chatting with Michele Bonnick, who has a studio at Yonge and Eglinton called Amani Hair Salon. And we're also talking to Solange Hair Studio. I apologize.
Amani Hair Studio.
Solange Ashoori, who is the owner of Ziba Style Bar in the Trinity.